The day they took Nova, I was translating bullshit. Literally. The Arisian word Keluvi has 14 different meanings depending on intonation, and Ambassador Drell had just used the variant that specifically referred to excrement from a domesticated quadruped. My neural implant struggled with the subtlety while I nodded politely, wondering if the blue-skinned diplomat was testing me or just bad at diplomatic small talk. So what you're suggesting, I said carefully, is that our trade agreement needs fertilizer? Drell's translucent gill slits fluttered in what passed for amusement among the Araxians. Your comprehension is improving, Translator Reeves. My wrist combust. I ignored it. At these diplomatic functions, Earth's Interstellar Relations Bureau expected perfect attention. One mistranslated phrase could cost humanity access to resources from 3-star systems. The buzz came again, more insistent this time. Please excuse me, I muttered, stepping away from Drell. It was my ex-wife, Mira. My heart sank. She never called during my work hours unless. Elias. Her voice cracked through the calm. They took Nova. The ambient chatter of the reception hall faded to white noise. What do you mean took? 3 aliens. Her voice trembled. They had council credentials. Said it was a cultural exchange program. Show me paperwork. But Nova just sent me a quantum ping with a distress code. Something's wrong. The room tilted sideways. Nova, my 13-year-old daughter, half a galaxy away on our colony world, supposedly safe with her mother while I played word games with aliens. Which species? I demanded. A pause. Arisian. I turned slowly back toward Ambassador Drell, watching as the diplomat delicately consumed a canopy with tentacular precision. The same species currently finalizing adoption rights as part of our treaty. I'll call you back, I said, my voice unnaturally calm. This is where a smarter man would have called security. Filed reports. Followed protocol. But protocol is why the Bureau sent me to this reception instead of letting me visit my daughter for her birthday last month. Protocol is why humanity crawled on its knees to join the Galactic Council, agreeing to laws we barely understood. I approached Drell with the placid smile of a career diplomat. Ambassador, could we speak privately about the familial integration clause? The Araxian's compound eyes swiveled toward me. Of course, translator. In the quiet alcove off the reception hall, I dropped all pretense. You took my daughter. Drell's antennae stiffened. The offspring selection has already occurred. Selection? My hands trembled. Nova is my daughter, not a selection. Per Treaty Article 86D, signatory species may exchange juvenile specimens for cultural integration. Your council representative approved the quota last solar cycle. I knew that clause. I translated the damn thing myself, but it was supposed to be about educational exchanges, college students volunteering for study programs. Where is she? En route to Araxis Prime. Drell's voice carried no emotion. She will be integrated into a prominent creche. Quite an honor. Honor? She's a child, not a diplomatic gift. Your colleague, Stratton, I believe, assured us human juveniles are adaptable. Drell's antennae twitched. The necessary consent was obtained from your government. Stratton, the Bureau's rising star who'd taken over the Arisian portfolio after I'd been demoted for excessive cultural sensitivity. The same man who dismissed my concerns about the treaty's ambiguous language. Return her, I said flatly. Impossible. The transfer is legally executed under council law. To undo it would require a formal council hearing. And as a non-council race, humans lack standing to bring such a petition. My implant helpfully translated the subtext. Tough luck, primitive species. Sometimes the universe presents perfect clarity in terrible moments. I saw my path forward with crystalline precision. You know what's funny about being a translator? I said, you learn every loophole in every treaty. Loopholes are translation errors, Drell responded coldly. No, they're intentional backdoors built by the powerful. I've translated enough council documents to know the council isn't just corrupt, it's terrified of certain laws being invoked. Drell's exoskeleton made a sharp, clicking sound. You risk your species standing with such accusations. I laughed bitterly. Our standing? We're glorified pets. The Council tolerates humanity because we're useful translators with convenient real estate. Then you understand your position. Drell's tone sharpened. You have no recourse. I leaned closer. Ever heard of the Void Treaty? The reaction was instantaneous. Drell physically recoiled, gill slits snapping shut. That document is sealed by Council decree. Is it? Because I found a copy in the Bureau's archives. Fascinating reading, especially Article 12, the one about forcible acquisition of sentient offspring. This was a calculated bluff. I'd seen only references to this ancient document, fragments mentioned in other texts, but never the treaty itself. Yet every mention sent Council diplomats into panic. Something about it terrified them. You speak of myths, Drell said, but there was uncertainty in those compound eyes. 3 quantum signatures will unseal those myths, I replied, and I've spent years collecting them. So here's what happens next. I go to the full council with what I know, or you return my daughter within 36 hours. Drell's exoskeleton made a sound like cracking ice. You would risk galactic stability for one juvenile. My juvenile. My voice didn't waver, and I won't risk galactic stability. I'll shatter it completely. I walked away before Drell could respond, sending a private message to Mira. I'm coming home. Then I'm getting Nova back. My wristcom pinged with an immediate termination notice from the Bureau. Apparently, Drell had friends in high places. Fine. I didn't need credentials for what came next. On the shuttle back to Earth, I reviewed everything I knew about the Void Treaty, a legendary document from the early days of the Council, supposedly containing fail-safes against Council corruption. No living diplomat had seen it. Most believed it mythical, but I had seen the fear in diplomatic eyes when it was mentioned. And in the Bureau's oldest archives, I discovered 3 names, the triad of witnesses who could unseal the document. Finding them would be nearly impossible. Lucky for me, impossible tasks were a specialty of Vera Kapoor, my old academy roommate who now ran the shadiest information brokerage in the Orion Arm. You're actually serious, Vera said when I reached her secure channel. Her office was a cluttered mess of holographic displays. The Void Treaty? That's cosmic folklore, Elias. They took my daughter V. Her expression softened. Shit. The Council, actually. The Araxians. But with Council approval. She whistled low. That's beyond messed up. But the Void Treaty? That's nuclear. If it exists, and you invoke it, I need to find a triad. 2 are dead, she said immediately. The Procyon representative died 60 years ago. The Altarian about 20 years back. My heart sank. And the 3rd, a slow smile spread across her face. Living off-grid on Europa. Paranoid as hell, but alive. I need transport. For a suicidal mission to piss off the Galactic Council? Sure, why not? She typed rapidly. Your ride leaves in 40 minutes. 26. What's it going to cost me? Vera's expression turned serious. Get your daughter back. Then tell me everything about this treaty. Information is my currency, and that's potentially the most valuable intel in the galaxy. As I boarded the transport to Europa, my wristcom pinged with one last message. A location tracking link. Nova's distress beacon, showing her aboard an Arisian vessel already halfway to their homeworld. Hold on, I whispered to the blinking dot. Dad's coming to tear down the stars if that's what it takes. The transport hummed to life. 3 days to Europa, then a journey into the heart of the Council to recover what they'd stolen. The galaxy had no idea what was coming, but they would learn. I make sure of it. Europa was a frozen hell's cape of possibility. The last triad member, an ancient chrysalid named Thes, had buried himself in the ice moon's subsurface ocean, living in a pressure dome that predated humanity's first step into space. Getting in was the easy part. Vera's connections bypassed Europa's security grid, dropping me through a maintenance shaft into the aliens' private sanctuary. You're either brave or stupid, Thes said when I splashed into his dwelling. His crystalline body reflected the bioluminescent algae lighting the dome. Probably both. I shivered in the frigid water. I need your quantum signature. Of course you do. Thes' voice resonated from vibrations in his crystal structure. Everyone who finds me wants the same thing: access to the Void Treaty. It took my daughter. This crystalline body shifted, facets realigning. The Council? They're getting desperate then. Taking offspring was supposed to be forbidden after the last invocation. My heart jumped. Then it's real? The treaty exists. Exists? I helped write it human. The original council wasn't just 13 species playing galactic chess. We were idealists. Put safeguards in place. He drifted closer, studying me. But invoking it comes with a price. I don't care what it costs. You should. His voice deepened. Last time, it collapsed 3 governments and started a war. I stood my ground. I see water numbing my legs. My daughter is worth any price. Something like respect flickered across this crystalline surface. Conviction, rare these days. A tendril extended toward me. My signature is yours, but you'll need all 3. The others are dead. Their signatures aren't. The Procyon's is in his memorial on Tau Ceti. The Altarian's was embedded in her species' central library. Hope surged. That's impossible to access. For a human diplomat, yes. This pulsed with amusement. For a human diplomat with a triad signature authorizing emergency powers? Different story. I left Europa with his quantum signature stored in my neural implant and a fundamentally altered understanding of the galaxy. The Council wasn't just corrupt. It was built on lies, its foundations rotten. Tau Ceti was surprisingly simple. The Procyons revered their ancestors, and the memorial was open to visitors. I placed my hand on the crystalline obelisk, and his signature connected with its counterpart, transferring the second key to my implant. The Altarian library proved harder. 3 security checkpoints, 2 identity verifications, and 1 very uncomfortable body scan later, I stood before the central archive. Access denied. The system informed me. Human genetic profile unrecognized. I placed my palm on the scanner. Emergency protocol. Triad authorization. The system hummed. 2 triad signatures detected. Insufficient. Override. Article 7 of the Void Treaty. Forcible acquisition of sentient offspring. Silence. Then, temporary access granted. 6 hours later, I emerged with all 3 signatures, my neural implant burning with the weight of what I carried. According to my tracking link, Nova was now on Araxis Prime. The clock was ticking. The journey to the Council hub took 18 excruciating hours. I spent them studying what Des had told me about invoking the treaty. It wouldn't just get Nova back. It would tear open the Council's darkest secrets. At the hub, a massive space station orbiting a neutral star, I was immediately detained. Elias Reeves, the security officer, said, for arms gripping shock batons, "You've been flagged as a diplomatic risk." I smiled thinly. I need to address the full Council under Article 7 of the Void Treaty. The words had an immediate effect. The officer's exoskeleton paled, and within minutes, I was escorted not to a cell but to the antechamber of the Council itself. Director Stratton was waiting, his bureau uniform immaculate. "Reeves, you're making a spectacular mess. Where's my daughter?" Being acclimated to her new family, as legally permitted by our treaty. He lowered his voice. "Be reasonable. Your career can be salvaged if you drop this nonsense." Reasonable? I laughed. I'm about to be the most unreasonable human in galactic history. The Council chamber was a vast amphitheater, representatives from 36 spacefaring civilizations arrayed in concentric rings. Humans sat in the outermost ring, barely worth acknowledging. I was led to the central speaking platform, where Ambassador Drell waited with the Council president, a massive Jovian entity floating in a containment field. Translator Reeves, the president's voice boomed. "You claim right of address under a sealed protocol." "Edo." My voice carried through the chamber. "I invoke Article 7 of the Void Treaty regarding the forced acquisition of my daughter, Nova Reeves, by Arisian representatives with Council authorization." The chamber erupted in overlapping translations and exclamations. The president's containment field flashed warning colors. "That document is sealed," the president said. I held up my hand, neural implant glowing. "I have all 3 signatures." Dead silence fell. Impossible, Drelly said. I connected my implant to the central system. Verify signatures and unseal the void treaty. Full council access. The massive display above the chamber flickered, then filled with ancient text. Representatives began reading, some standing in shock, others turning to confer urgently with aides. This is a diplomatic incident, Stratton shouted from the human section. Reeves is acting without authorization. Actually, I replied, Article 7 gives any parent whose child has been taken under council authority the right to invoke it unilaterally. It's right there on the display. Along with the fact that forced acquisition of offspring was banned 420 standard years ago. The president's containment field darkened. This matter concerns one human juvenile. It doesn't warrant. It's not just about my daughter, I interrupted. The treaty explicitly prohibits what you did. And according to Article 12, any violation nullifies 342 council provisions, including the ones giving you authority over non-council races. Another shock wave of murmurs swept the chamber. You don't understand what you're doing, Drell said, antennae flat against his head. I understand perfectly. Article 15 requires immediate disclosure of all species acquired under violation of Article 7. I faced the assembly. How many children have you taken? The display changed, lists of numbers appearing by species. Not just humans. Thousands of children from dozens of species, quietly reassigned under cultural integration programs. A representative from the Canopus system stood. My government was told our candidates volunteered. Others joined in, the chamber dissolving into accusations and denials. The president's containment field pulsed frantically as order disintegrated. In the chaos, a small transport pod arrived at the central platform. The door hissed open to reveal Nova, looking bewildered but unharmed, escorted by an Arisian official. Dad! She ran to me, and I caught her in my arms, holding her so tightly she squirmed. Easy, she said, but buried her face against my shoulder. They said it was some kind of exchange program, but then they wouldn't let me call Mom. I know, sweetheart. I know. Over her head, I watched the council imploding around us. Representatives were calling for investigations, resignations, sanctions. Stratton fought his way to us through the disorder. Do you have any idea what you've done, Reeves? The treaty provisions you've nullified. They're the foundation of the modern council. Good. I kept one arm around Nova. Maybe you can rebuild something that doesn't treat children like trading cards. The power vacuums this will create, the conflicts that could erupt. Not my problem. I guided Nova toward the exit. I'm taking my daughter home. Earth will be isolated, he warned. Cut off from council protection. I stopped and turned back to him. Protection? The council just showed its true face. I think we're better off on our own. As we departed, the display showed representatives voting to suspend the council presidency, others demanding immediate revision of all treaties. The great machine of galactic politics was breaking down, its hidden controls exposed. What happens now? Nova asked as her shuttle pulled away from the hub. Are we in trouble? I watched the council station growing smaller through the viewport, emergency vessels converging on it from all directions. No, but they are. I smiled at my daughter. We just changed the rules of the game. I missed your birthday, I added softly. Nova leaned against me. This was better than a present. You literally broke the galaxy to get me back. I'd do it again. I wrapped an arm around her shoulders as news transmissions flooded in from across council space. Protests, diplomatic recalls, treaties being nullified. Mom's going to freak out, Nova said. She hates political drama. I laughed for what felt like the first time in years. Your mom once punched an Altarian diplomat for insulting her research. I think she'll approve. As our shuttle entered FDL, alerts continued to stream in. 3 council races had already declared independence. 4 more demanded total reorganization. The mighty Galactic Council, the institution humanity had fought so hard to join, was facing an existential crisis. All because they took the wrong child. We should go somewhere quiet for a while, I told Nova, until things settled down. She grinned, a flash of mischief so like her mother. Can we go to Proxima? They have those floating cities you promised to show me. Anywhere you want. I checked our trajectory. We've got the whole galaxy to choose from now. Behind us, that galaxy continued to fracture and reform, old powers falling and new alliances forming in our wake. Sometimes the biggest revolutions start with the smallest reasons. Sometimes love is the most dangerous force in the universe. Sometimes you have to shatter everything to fix what's broken.